When I first reached out to the private investigator, I wasn't even sure what I was searching for. Closure? Punishment? Or maybe a forgiveness I hadn't earned. 3 years had passed since I last saw Daniel, my ex-husband, the man I had betrayed. The guilt had lingered, no matter how I tried to drown it beneath the noise of a life that never felt fully mine. Daniel had been everything anyone could hope for: kind, patient, unwaveringly loyal. I had always felt unworthy of him, and maybe that was why I destroyed what we had. I convinced myself that his calm nature meant indifference, that his love had dimmed. When a coworker began showing interest, I misread curiosity for desire. The secret I carried eventually came to light, and when it did, Daniel walked away without a word. No fights, no accusations, just silence. That quiet departure hurt far more than any confrontation could. Years later, that silence still haunted me. I didn't want to win him back. I knew I had forfeited that right. I simply needed to know if he was okay, if he had managed to rebuild his life. That's why I hired Mark, a private investigator. Quiet, sharp-eyed, and efficient, he promised answers within a week. I told him all I wanted was to know whether Daniel was happy, whether he had moved on. He didn't ask why, he just nodded and got to work. The first days dragged endlessly. Every hour seemed to stretch on as my mind replayed memories of the life I had discarded. I remembered the mornings he made coffee for both of us even after a night of arguments. I remembered him waiting by the window for me to come home late, pretending not to worry. And I remembered the last look in his eyes when he discovered the truth. No anger, only heartbreak. On the 6th day, Mark called with news. We met at a small downtown cafe. He slid a well-handled folder across the table. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were photographs. Daniel walking through a park, sitting beside a lake, helping an elderly man carry groceries. One photo showed him smiling. Relief washed over me briefly. He looked peaceful. Then Mark spoke. He's living in a small town about 2 hours away. He volunteers at a community center and keeps his past to himself. I nodded silently. He hesitated before adding, "There's something else you should know." My heart dropped. "What is it?" I asked. Mark handed me another envelope. "He's not well. He was diagnosed with a heart condition last year and has been in and out of the hospital. Doctors say stress made it worse." My breath caught. Guilt hit like a wave. "Does he have anyone with him?" I whispered. Mark shook his head. "He lives alone, though a neighbor checks on him. Sometimes brings food." She said, "He rarely talks about personal matters." Tears blurred my vision. I had imagined him happy, free of the pain I caused. Instead, he lived quietly, carrying the scars I had left. "Do you think it would be wrong for me to visit him?" I asked. He paused. "You can, but be ready for his truth. It might not be what you hope to hear." That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every harsh word I had spoken during our final months, every lie, every choice that placed someone else above him. By morning, I made up my mind. I would go, not to beg for forgiveness, but to apologize in person, no matter how late. The town was quiet, almost frozen in time. The community center's faded sign marked the corner where he spent his days. Through the window, I saw him sitting with children, helping one fix a broken toy. His smile was gentle, the same one I had fallen in love with years ago. I lingered outside, afraid to disturb the life he had built. After an hour, I summoned courage and stepped inside. His eyes found mine, and for a moment, there was recognition. Then, a calm replaced any shock or anger. "Hi, Daniel," I whispered. He studied me carefully before speaking. "You didn't need to come." His voice was weary but not cold. I tried to explain, to tell him how sorry I was, how I thought of him every day, but he stopped me gently. "You don't need to carry this forever," he said. "I forgave you a long time ago. I just couldn't stay where everything reminded me of what we lost." His words cut deeper than any accusation ever could. I wanted to tell him I still cared, but it wouldn't have been fair. Before I left, he offered a faint smile. "I hope you find peace too." I nodded, tears streaming freely. As I walked to my car, I realized I had found what I truly sought: not forgiveness, but truth. Daniel had rebuilt his life quietly, carrying the pain I caused without letting it define him. The investigator's revelations had shaken me, but Daniel's serenity offered a strange healing in return. I drove away, knowing that sometimes the greatest love isn't about holding on, it's about letting go.